on this is Bekele Woyecha. He's a member of Defend Ethiopia UK. He joins us now live from London. Thank you for speaking to us on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Well, is the Prime Minister really serious about turning this crisis into a war?
He is not actually turning this crisis into a war. He is going to address the crisis because it needs leadership, and it is in his duty to actually take up this responsibility entrusted on him by 150 million Ethiopians. So
the government has once denied the movement of the Tigrayan forces towards Addis, and security forces in the capital say there is enough security within the capital to be able to repel any invasion. What are you hearing? Is that still the case? Has security heightened in Addis?
It was a lie. And they have been keeping lying and lying and lying. The Western media parts have been spreading lies for the past 1 year, I should say.
Diakon Yosef Romano Tafari.
Because we went there to meet with them to talk about why AGOA should not be taken away from Ethiopia. They basically voluntarily kind of expressed, first of all, they said, we're not taking sides. And that's, I guess, is a standard way of saying, basically, they're siding with the TPLF. So they have to have another plan that, in effect, will make TPLF survive politically. And they want to make sure that in the political discourse of Ethiopia, that TPLF remains relevant. So if, in fact, the military campaign TPLF launch wasn't going to be successful, there has to be another backup plan. So these resolutions are born out of this, nothing more.
Who is the chairperson of Zimbabwe Anti-Sanction Movement and founder of Zimbabwean Unite Against US War Sanctions. Brother Rutendo, welcome again, over to you.
So what I bring to the table today is I want to talk about how to fight these sanctions by going beyond politicizing the fight against sanctions, where our governments try to negotiate with the sanction sender for the sanctions to be removed, for us to take the fight to the next level. So unilateral sanctions that are not UN sanctions are illegal. They are illegal at international law. They're illegal according to a resolution that was made by the UN Human Rights Council that is called Resolution 3413. And that 3413 was actually came after 2721 resolution of the UN Human Rights Council.
His Excellency Ambassador David Commission is currently Barbados Ambassador to the Caribbean community known as CARICOM.
CARICOM, the Caribbean community. We are a grouping of 15 nations in the Caribbean. I would just like to say that there's clearly a Cold War dimension to the situation with Ethiopia. There are big countries, big powers in this world who seem to believe that they must dominate, that there's no room for big power coexistence. So in other words, either the world must be dominated by the United States or by China or by Russia, and that there's no room for peaceful coexistence. Well, we the African and Caribbean and non-aligned countries, we must disavow that. We must say that there's no place in this world for any Cold War. We will not accommodate ourselves to any Cold War notion that either you're in the US camp or you're in the Chinese camp or you're in the Russian camp or the NATO camp. That is the way towards instability and destruction in our world.
Brother Dr. Biniam Misgun. He is a lecturer at School of Social Science, University of KwaZulu-Natal. His area of expertise is economic history and development studies.
What are the consequences of those sanctions? You can look at them in different ways, but I would like you to think about the economic aspect to it, the social political aspect to it is very important. The economic aspect, obviously, investors are often wary of sanctioned states. They wouldn't want to come to those states. So that's one way of impacting it. So, create a general narrative about it that would push away potential investors.
To talk more about what's going on in the country, joining me now is Malet Bayecha. She's the founder and host Connect Africa on YouTube. Malet, thank you for joining me on the program.
Thank you for having me, Amarachi.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has once called for citizens to take up arms to fight the Tigrayan rebels headed to the capital, Addis Ababa. He's also said he could go to the front, to the battlefront. He said he's actually there. This is clearly a call for war in the country. What do you think?
Well, thank you for that question. I think we have to see it, historically, what Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is not something new. If we see the Ethiopian history, if we start, for example, from Menelik II, he has called his people different governors of the regions in the country when there is the Battle of Adwa. The same thing with Empress Taitu. The empress and the kings will call their peoples, and then they go to the forefront at the battle place itself. So this has been practiced also down to His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, and also as recent as Mengistu Haile Mariam, who was when we were under a communist party. So now Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed doing that is not something new, per se for Ethiopians. And also this sense, I think, it demonstrates normally what we see. The normal trend in Africa is, when there's a conflict, the non-African states meddle, or the previous colonial powers meddle in the affairs of the country, and then they have a way to evacuate leaders and then put a leader or a rebel leader or whatever, which is kind of who can obey, or who can do what they say from Europe or from US. So this sends that message. This government is there to protect its people. Let's not forget also Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali has got a Nobel Prize for Peace, which most of the Western media is trying to defame him. Now he's as a man of war. But this sends message also, okay, he has got a Nobel Peace Prize, but he doesn't stop there. He also, if needs to be, he is determined to protect his people, the sovereignty of his country, and that includes the people of Tigray as well.